Well, we're live, and hello, it's Tuesday, and it's our Facebook Live. And I'm hoping there are people out there. You know, I never know when I'm starting this thing off. Now, I'm learning to look at the camera instead of looking at myself, so it's always better to look at the camera. You never know if anyone's out there, so I'm just going to assume there is, so that we're live. And so as you come on, just hit a little star or something so I know you're there. Oh, there's my wife. Hi, honey. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at all the little hearts. That's really great. That's great. So today's topic is about the brain. And, oh, hello, Hubert. Nice to see you. Thank you. Today's topic is about the brain and kids' brains especially, and about foods and how foods may affect the brain. So the first thing I want to tell you is that some studies have come out in the last 4 years that have shown that when mothers have antibodies, autoimmune antibodies to brain tissue, there is an 86% of the children of those mothers are on the autism spectrum. And I was reading a study today that talked about why that is. It's because these children's brains develop a little bit differently. So if mom has an autoimmune mechanism going on against the nervous system and against brain tissue, there is a very high risk that that child's brain in utero is going to develop a little bit abnormally. And 86% of those kids are on the autism spectrum. 86%. It's like, what? What is that? So what does that tell us? That tells us that mom, when pregnant, should be tested to see, does mom have an autoimmune mechanism going on to the brain? And if she does, what are some simple things that she can do that are healthy for her and will reduce the risk of the child developing an abnormal brain tissue? And we've talked a lot about those types of things. That's what the book, The Autoimmune Fix, talks about quite a bit, is how do you reduce the autoimmune mechanism going on in our bodies? And a critically important component of that is food. So I'm going to give you an example that I thought of that I think everyone should know about. This is just a really good example to know about for all of us, that if you have a sensitivity to wheat, yes, Annie, that is quite a statistic. 86% of the children of mothers who have antibodies to brain tissue are on the autism spectrum, 86%. So that means that it would be really wise of mom, especially if they already have an autistic child, to do a little screening of their own blood, to have a test done to see, do I have antibodies to brain tissue now? Do I? And if I do, maybe I should not get pregnant again until we address that. And there's a whole learning curve as to how to address that. Hello for Randall in Alberta, and Jody. Thanks, Jody. Thanks so much. Jody in Wisconsin, thanks for your comments. So the book, The Autoimmune Fix, is all about how do you reduce the autoimmune cascade. So if mom already has an autistic child, I would think it's a critical thing to do before she gets pregnant again, to learn about this and to do a screen on herself to see, do I have a risk here for our next child being on the autism spectrum? And if she has positive antibodies in the blood tests, you'll see them on our website. The blood tests come from both, oh my goodness, low battery, time out here. Oh, I think I've got everything I need right here to plug in a charger. I do not want to lose you, so hold on just a minute. Let me make sure I can do this. Yes, I can. I know I can. Yep, that's long enough. So hold on for just a minute while I charged my computer fully in preparation for this one. I charged the computer completely. But Hubert, you'll appreciate this, that when I went to power. Good. There's the power. Great. I did a speed test to see what's the reception here because I don't want any glitches. And on the laptop, the upload was 1.86. The upload on the iPhone was 14. So it's like hands down, it's got to be on the phone. So it's charging now, so we won't have that problem. So the tests for autoimmunity come from both Cyrex Laboratories and from I'm going blank. The Wheat Zoomer is with Vibrant Wellness. So those two laboratories have the most cutting edge tests that are in this world. Hello, Christy in Dallas, and Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for your comments. So mom who has a child already on the autism spectrum, absolutely, mom should do the Wheat Zoomer and the Neural Zoomer. They're both on our website. We'll put the links in here to the Wheat Zoomer and Neural Zoomer. And then Cyrex Array number 5, the multiple autoimmune screen. And what you're looking for is elevated antibodies to your own tissue. And if mom has, hi Annie, yeah, thanks. Yeah, Vibrant, excellent lab, excellent test. You're absolutely right. And aloha, Aaron in Hawaii. Hello, Aaron. I used to have land on Molokai. I love that island. It's my spiritual home, I think. So getting back to the test, if mom has a child on the autism spectrum already, then absolutely she should be doing that test to see how is her system now when she's not pregnant. If she has an autoimmune cascade going on, then time out on getting pregnant, deal with the autoimmune cascade. And how do you do that? Read the book, The Autoimmune Fix, and it all comes into play there, and you'll really understand what to do from there. We have a message here from Margie in New Zealand. Hi, Margie. I hope to tell you how to heal kids' brain. He's learning difficulties with no diagnosis, but thinking out. A lot of the tests you recommend, are not available in New Zealand. I fully understand that. In those situations, for those of you around the world, we've got people here now from Switzerland and New Zealand and Austria, Canada. For those of you around the world where some of these tests are not available, it's worth the investment to have a session with our Director of Clinical Services, Michelle Ross, a clinical nutritionist. And Michelle can tell you what to look for and what are some of the protocols. Try this for a month and see what happens. But you have to be complete. You have to know what you're doing. In the world of functional medicine, we call it the TACS rule, T-A-C-K-S, the TACS rule. Anne in Tipperary. Hello, Anne. Nice to see you're here. Thank you. The TACS rule says if you sit on 2 tacks, it really hurts a lot. Take 1 tack out and sit down again, you don't reduce the pain by 50%, right? So if you take out a couple of foods but leave the other ones in there that may be a problem for you, you aren't going to get the results that you should get when you get rid of those first few foods, because there's still others that are causing an immune response. So you have to know how to do this. You can read my book. It gives you a lot of guidance there, The Autoimmune Fix, or have a session with our clinical services department. I know, no, Mary Agnes, not TACS, T-A-X, T-A-C-K-S. It's Dr. Sid Baker, one of the godfathers of functional medicine, came up with that one. If you sit on 2 tacks, it hurts a lot. Take 1 tack out and you don't reduce the pain by 50%. I thought that was just brilliant, right? So that's how it is with food sensitivities, that you really want to be comprehensive when you do this. Because, for example, if you take wheat out of the diet, hi Tina, thanks so much. As you take wheat out of the diet, but if you're also sensitive to dairy and you're still eating cheese on wheat-free bread, then you're not going to get the results you want, because your immune system is still producing inflammation, still going after trying to protect you. And what you want to do is calm all of that down. A really safe protocol for those of you who want to do it on your own is called the Autoimmune Paleo Diet. The Autoimmune Diet or the Autoimmune Paleo Diet. And that is a likely way of eating for a few weeks that's going to clean things out and just calm down an immune system that's pretty active. I'm going to give you an example of how foods can have an impact on brain function. 73% of people that have a sensitivity to wheat, 73% of them have a lack of blood flow going into your brain. That lack of blood flow going to your brain is called hypoperfusion. Hypo meaning low, perfusion meaning blood pouring into the brain. Now, blood goes into your brain two ways. You got the garden hoses coming up your neck called the carotid arteries. And I do this, not because I'm Italian, and I've been in Italy recently, but rather because you can visualize blood flow of the carotid arteries going up. And at the top of the arteries, it's like a garden hose. Your brain needs to be saturated with blood, just like when you water the lawn. Just like when you water the lawn. Hi, Marianne. I'm sorry it's cold in Minnesota. I hear you. So you want to saturate it. In the Midwest, we know that you don't water the lawn for 5 minutes every day. In the summertime, the grass will die. Why? Because the blades of grass don't absorb the water. You have to water it enough so that it soaks down to the roots. It's the roots that absorb the water. And if you have just 5 minutes a day, the grass will die in the summertime. So there's a test called a SPECT scan. A SPECT scan, S-P-E-C-T, a SPECT scan looks to see how well watered is your brain, or how well blooded, how much blood is saturating your brain. Is your brain soaked with blood? All the little corners of the brain, so that it's got all the nutrients that it needs. And what happens when you have a sensitivity to wheat, 73% of those people have a lack of blood flow into their brain. 73%. If everyone would cross your legs, please cross your legs. Just cross your legs for a minute. Humor me. Cross your legs. Thank you. Leave them like that for 3 hours. Now stand up and run. You can't, because there's no blood in your legs. Give your child toast for breakfast. If they have a wheat sensitivity, send them to school to learn. They can't, because there's not enough blood in their brain. It's the same thing. 73% of people with a sensitivity to wheat will have a lack of blood flow into the brain. That's why brain fog is the most common symptom that people get when they have a sensitivity to wheat. Yes, Annie, like for you. It's the most common symptom that people get is brain fog. This is why. It's because there's not enough blood getting up there. So for your children, especially those that are out on the autism spectrum, if they're out there, you really want to make sure that you're giving them the right foods. And wheat is not the only one that causes hypoperfusion. Many different foods, if your immune system is fighting those foods, many different foods can cause that same sluggishness or lack of blood flow into the brain. So that's why foods are so important. Many of you have heard me say a number of times that every degenerative disease is a disease of inflammation. At the cellular level, the cell is always on fire. So it's just a question, is it gasoline or kerosene? Is it a kidney cell or a brain cell? But it's always on fire. So the first rule of thumb is stop throwing gasoline on the fire. And if you're going to stop throwing gasoline on the fire, you have to ask the question, what does my body think is gasoline? And the most common trigger causing inflammation in your body, the most common trigger is what's on the end of your fork. So you have to find out. There's no other way. You can guess, and you'll get some results, but not much. But you're much safer to test and test properly. And you can learn about the tests on our website. We screen these tests. We do our best. Hi, Fiona. We do our best to make sure that only the most accurate tests, the most sensitive tests, the most comprehensive tests are available on our website. I won't endorse anything else. And so you can find out what tests to do. So if they're on our website and you want your insurance to pay for it, write down the name of the test, go to your doctor and say, can you order this test for me? And if when your doctor orders it, it's covered by your insurance, great, get it done. If your doctor will not order it, or if it's not covered by insurance, order it. You're welcome to order it on our website. But I always prefer that your doctor order the test, because when your doctor orders the test, it forces them to learn more about these tests. And then they'll start using these same approaches with the rest of their patients, or many more of their patients. Thank you, Helen. It's great. It's great to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Mary Nelson says, I've been eating hemp hearts for breakfast. I saw oh, I lost it. I lost the rest of it. Oh, I just lost no, I got the questions back, but I lost it. Margie's in New Zealand. I hope you'll be able to tell me how to heal a kid's brain. He has learning difficulties with no diagnosis, but thinking autism. A lot of the tests you recommend are not available. Hi, Margaret. That's why you're best served by speaking with a professional like Michelle Ross, our Director of Clinical Services. And, she does Skype calls. So you can get, hands down, the best information that way. And Jane Summers wants to know, Mary Nelson, are you Mary Nelson in Iowa? So I guess we're doing social here. We'll say hello to each other. Go ahead and say hello. It's fine. By the way, the woman in Australia wanting to heal her son's brain, or New Zealand wanting to heal her son's brain, and the tests aren't available there. I know, it's really a drag. And so you have to do without, but that's why you want to talk to a professional that's done this for years and knows how to do it. But when you have brain symptoms, you don't heal a brain. When you have leg symptoms, you don't heal the leg. When you have a systemic problem, and the brain symptoms are a systemic problem most of the time, you heal the brain by healing the body. My new book will be out in about 4 or 5 months. It's being delayed a little bit, but it's all about the brain and how you can fix your brain. And it's all about, to fix your brain, you have to fix your body. And the most important thing you can do, there are many things that might have to be done, but the most important thing you can do is to work on your microbiome, the good bacteria in your gut. And as is true with the premise of functional medicine, get the bad guys out, get the good guys in. That's the bottom line. And many of you have heard me say everyone should be eating root vegetables every day, at least one root vegetable every day, because root vegetables are prebiotics that feed the good bacteria in your gut, the probiotics. And we should be eating fermented vegetables every day. So just a tablespoon or 2 of fermented vegetables, vary them every day. Get 4 or 5 in your refrigerator. You get sauerkraut and fermented beets and kimchi and miso and curry flavored. It doesn't matter what flavors, whatever you like, right? But you just take a forkful or 2 every day. And these fermented vegetables are loaded with hundreds and hundreds of strains of bacteria. And with those strains on bacteria, when you're eating them, you're inoculating your gut with this good bacteria. Now, Vicky asked, do foods have an impact on osteoarthritis? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The most common foods that have a negative impact are the nightshade families for your joints. That's most common. And that is white potatoes, peppers, eggplant, okra. Just Google and look at the list of nightshade vegetables. That's most common. But even a more common trigger for arthritis is toxicity, lipopolysaccharides, LPS. That's the exhaust of bacteria, bad bacteria in your gut. And it's really common, and it can trigger osteoarthritis, and it can progress into autoimmune arthritises. So it's all in the book, The Autoimmune Fix. So when you read that, you start to get this big picture, and you understand. We've all grown up looking for the magic cure, the magic bullet, because that's what the ads on television always say, and the ads at the movies. You watch these people bouncing around, these women with big, they're just bouncing around, and the guys are all hunks with tight shirts on, and they're laughing and playing volleyball and having a great time while the drug commercials are in the background, right? So we're all looking for the drug or the pill that's going to do that for us, right? Help us be like that. That's not how it works. It's never how it works. The way that it works for real, base hits win the ball game. You do a little bit of this. You get this food out of your diet because you found out it's not good for you. And then you look and you see this food. Whenever you eat this food, you don't feel so good. There's a helicopter going by. It'll be gone in a minute. when you eat this food, you don't feel so good. So you get that food out of there. You've learned that plastic lids on coffee cups are bad for you and that plastic is bad for you. So you're getting the plastic out of your life. And you're learning all these little things that accumulatively give you base hit, base hit, base hit, base hit. That's how you win the ball game. That's how you win it. Norman's asking, is LPS in any of the tests on your website? Yes, Norman. Yes, it's in the Wheat Zoomer. You'll see them there. It's critically important to test for it. That's how you win the ball game, is by constantly going for base hits. Just the little things that you do day after day after day after day. That's how you win the ball game. And with your kids, it's so critically important. So I want to talk a minute about what foods are really good for your kids. Of course, build their microbiome. And you've heard me talk about making applesauce. If you haven't heard that one, just go to YouTube, go to our YouTube channel, and just type my name in and look for applesauce, and you'll find the video on how to make the applesauce for your kids, because it helps their gut a lot. But what I wanted to make sure to talk about was that I'm going to date myself here. When we used to go to the doctor, if sick or something, you had to give a urine sample. You go in the bathroom, you give the urine sample, and there was a Lazy Susan in the wall. And you put your urine sample on that Lazy Susan, it spins around in the wall, and the nurse in the other room would then grab it and do the tests on it that she was going to do, right? Your brain works like Lazy Susans. One brain cell makes chemicals that go through the walls of the cell, through the walls of the next cell, into that next cell. That next cell adds some chemicals to it, and then it goes through the walls to the next cell, through the walls to the next cell. So the cell walls, it's called permeable. They're permeable, which means they're like Lazy Susans. You know, they just rotate around and go into the next room, right? Your cell walls are made up of fats. Fats. When you don't eat enough of the good fats, the raw material that makes great brain cells that communicate really well, Lazy Susans that flow really easily. When you don't have enough of the good fats and you eat the bad fats, then your Lazy Susans get rusty and they don't turn very well. And your brain cells can't communicate very well. And your IQ is like here instead of being here. That's why you see the studies, when you give kids fish oils, their IQs go up. They function better on tests. They're more communicative. Some of the autistic kids, I mean, it's one of the things that's a must do is give them fish oils. And how much fish oil? Depends on the individual, but it's really safe at about 1,000 milligrams, mgs, 1,000 milligrams for every 50 pounds body weight. That's a good starting point. I go much higher than that sometimes, but you kind of have to know what you're doing if you go much higher. A little bit higher is fine. It's not going to hurt anybody. But in general, 1,000 milligrams for every 50 pounds body weight. And they've got fish oils now, and we'll post it here. I forgot to tell my staff about this beforehand, so it's going to take them an hour or two to find it, and they'll put the link in there. But we've got fish oils, both the capsules, if your kids can swallow capsules, or there's liquids, just put in the spoon, and it tastes like a creamsicle. It tastes really good, and it doesn't have bad sugar in it. So get this into your kids any way you can. Get the fish oils in, feed them fish if they'll eat fish. The really good, the fatty fishes like salmon are just great for your kids. So let me take a look at a couple of questions here that we have. What would you recommend for someone who does what? I've got my phone sideways, and so it only gives me part of the question. I'm sorry, it doesn't say, have you heard of Biome, where they can, yes, Margaret, Biome is fabulous, fabulous. We're going to have a special event here in a few weeks, and I'm doing Biome tests on everyone, and we soon will have them available on our website, but we're running some studies right now with Biome. It's a fabulous, and for those of you who haven't heard of Biome, the best way to learn about Biome, I think, that I've experienced, the easiest way to get the big picture, if you go to Bulletproof, my friend Dave Asprey, and go to his podcast and look for the podcast interview with Naveen Jain, Jain, Naveen Jain, who is the owner, founder of Viome. And when you listen to their discussion about, wow, that's really a good test. And it is. And so you can learn more about Viome there. I've got time for some questions here. Hi, sorry, I'm from Argentina. What is a lazy Susan? When you put food in the center of a big table on this little device, and it can kind of spin around, so people sitting on the other side of the table, you just spin the thing, and then it rolls to be in front of them, and they can grab it. It's a lazy Susan, and they used to have them built into the walls, so that from one room to another, you could put something on a counter in one room, and it would just turn around into the other room. That's a lazy Susan. And Amanda from Kansas City. Oh, I don't know. Somebody's going to have to show me how to read these. If I touch it, it doesn't extend the question out. I don't know what to do for that. So I'm going to have to bypass that one. I'll learn. I'm sorry, Amanda. I'll learn how to do it. What do I think about the blood type diet? Clinically, what I've noticed over the years, if you are a blood type O, it is a must that you follow those guidelines. Blood type O's are the oldest blood type on the planet. The oldest. Our most ancient ancestors were blood type O. And what does that mean? What do they live on? They were hunters. They were nomads. They followed the herds. Agriculture hadn't started yet, so they were hunters. They ate meat, lots of meat. So blood type O's, and I was going to say funny. It's not funny. Some of the sickest people I see are vegetarians, and way too often they're blood type O's, and they're so sick. And I mean, some of them are really sick, and they just refuse. And you say, it's really hard. It's going to be really hard to do this. You're blood type O. You're the oldest blood type on the planet. Your body is designed to eat the way our ancestors ate. So my clinical experience is blood type O's, never negotiate. I just endorse that program right away for them. The other blood types, it'll help some, it doesn't help others. It's more complicated. It's not as simple as everyone who's A positive, like I am, should follow the blood type A positive diet. It's not that simple. But for some people, it helps a lot. It really does. Can threes be too high? Sorry, to finish, can threes be too high? And I don't know what that means. Yes, Missy, blood type O's need meat. You're an A positive. I'm also A positive, and my body really likes meat once in a while. I function better, I sleep better, my elimination's better when I eat meat. If I eat too much meat, I don't feel great, but on occasion having it's really great for me. Trish says, no gallbladder, what should I do about fats? You got a problem, girl. This is part of our heritage where we've got physicians that think you can cut stuff out and throw it away like it's an extra part and then not teach you what to do. Well, you need to learn, how do I deal with digesting fats? Because people have had their gallbladder taken out. They often have fat vitamin deficiencies like vitamin A, which affects your skin and your eyes and your hair. Vitamin E, which affects your heart and your blood vessels. Vitamin D, which affects every cell in your body. Vitamin K, critical for bone health and heart health. They're all fats. And when you can't absorb fats very well because you don't have the fat digesting enzymes anymore, you got a problem. You got a problem. So my recommendation would be, it's worth the investment to speak with a clinical nutritionist that really knows their stuff. My team knows their stuff. They're trained, so you take the time and you dial this down and you really understand it. It might take a session, might take two. You do one session, you start implementing what they say, and you say, you know what? I want to check back in about 3 weeks or a month with my new questions. And you really dial this down so that you get this. Julie Matthews is watching. Hi, Julie. It's nice to see you here. Julie Matthews and I had breakfast together a couple of days ago in Detroit. We were both being interviewed for the Dr. Nandi show. Really great fella, a gastroenterologist in Detroit. 90 million people watch his show, 90 million. Julie's an expert on autism, and Julie, it's really nice you're there. Thanks so much. Fats are critically important. Make sure that your kids are getting it, the development of their brain. There's so many studies that show when you have enough of the good fats for your kids, their brains develop so much better for the rest of their lives. Not only for thinking, but also their muscle coordination, the ability of the brain to talk to the muscles, to send the messages down the nerve tracts. You know, your nerves develop better. Fats are a critical component of your child's brain development. And once again, for those of you that tuned in a little later and missed the first part, really important that mom's health is critically important during pregnancy in the development of baby's brain. And if mom already has an autistic child in the family, or if there's a history, if there's a history, yes, it's important to check, but the studies were women who have elevated antibodies to baby's brain, 86% of those children are on the autism spectrum. 86%. So what that means is that mom should be checked to see if she has an autoimmune mechanism going on to brain tissue before she gets pregnant with her next child. And what do? Well, you read my book, The Autoimmune Fix. It is a shameless plug, I guess, but it's all outlined in there so that you understand this. And I put the studies in there on autism and mom with brain antibodies. Those studies are in there so that you can see them and go to the back of the book and write down the name of the studies and give it to your doctor and say, hi, this study says that if I have elevated antibodies to brain tissue, 86% chance that my child's going to be on the autism spectrum. We have one autistic child already. Please check me for these antibodies. And most doctors won't know anything about this because they haven't had a chance to read the studies. But so you have to take action yourself. You have to be an informed consumer. That's why books like mine, The Autoimmune Fix, and many of my friends' books they're so important, so that you become educated. You don't have to be technically educated. You have to be big picture educated. All right, folks. I always say I'm supposed to try to keep these to about 20 minutes, and I go over. I always do. But I just wanted to give you a few points here today. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you. For those of you that are writing questions, my team will get the answers to you. So thanks again, and hope you have a wonderful week. And we'll see you. Announcement. Next week, I'm going to do the flu. There is so much to learn about the flu that's going to blow you away. Why was it? The 1918 flu, why was it attacked healthy people? And the flu last year, the most people that died were healthy people. They weren't old people. It was healthy people. So I'm going to talk all about that, why that happens, and what do you do to protect yourself from that. So we shall see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.